Well boys, you should know by now that when the camera isn't on during an intro, it means something bad's happened. And since Blackman's gone, we've now lost Lee Hurst as well. Another one from the class of 2020, the second best player in the team that came through our academy, and he's gone. Everton signed him for an upfront fee of 2.9 million. The board are a bunch of wankers, they went over my head and accepted the bid, and I'm fuming. Absolutely fuming. I'm going to go away and compose myself while you guys watch the intro.
12 years in that division and they're out.
Hey guys, welcome back to SEADOGS Can Fly. This is season number 4, and after that terrible start with Lee Hurst leaving the club, we've actually had a half decent pre-season. We've got loads to get through today. I want to have a look at transfers, 2 new tactics, as well as my approach to mentoring this season and trying to develop the personalities within the group of players that we have. So let's kick things off with transfers, and of course Lee Hurst has left. He played 64 games for the club, scored 7 goals. I honestly thought he was going to be the backbone of our defence. It's not to be. We've also lost, we're about to lose Rakas, but we'll talk about that in a second. We've also lost Olzer. Giacomo Olzer, his contract was running out and I didn't think he was going to sign another one, so I decided to cash in on him. And the rest of the players have gone out on loan. Made quite a few signings though, and let me try and explain all of these to you. The first 2 you can ignore for now because they weren't signed by myself, but David Salmon has joined the club as a first team player. He'd be a deep line playmaker, maybe even box-to-box midfielder type player. Really do like his work rate, teamwork, personality is not too bad, and he's got a bit of physicality about him as well. Should be a good addition. The rest of these signings, bar the last 2, which we'll come on to a little bit later, are all due to their personalities. What we're trying to do this season is bring up the average personality of the squad by signing players with great personalities. So I'm talking about people that are maybe resilient, model professionals, model citizens, those type of players. So Tonti, we needed another goalkeeper anyway, and this guy's resolute. Now that's quite a good personality to have. It means he's got good determination. I think his professionalism should be quite good as well. Lucera, he has a resolute personality. That again is another good personality to be getting. And we also needed strengthening on the right wing as well, because we did mention before Lacour's not going to be a long-term option. Travis Cole, this guy's never going to play for the club. He's just not good enough compared to the players we have, but he's a perfectionist. And that personality is one I would love to instill on some of our younger players. And then finally, Tommy Gordon. Pretty decent right back, possibly not my type of right back really, but again, resolute personality. So we're trying to bring the average personality of the club up. So if we click on the logo, you'll be able to see that I have an ambitious squad personality. This was professional or fairly professional or something like that before. A little bit deceiving because we've still got all those professional players, which we do want, but we've brought in quite a lot of players with high ambition. Hence why it's changed. And what we're trying to do with that, if I go into mentoring, is I've made a group for professionalism, determination and ambition. So if I bring in the influential players into this group that have high determination, ambition and or professionalism, then they can pass on those traits to the younger players. As you can see down here, I've got 4 or 5 players with average influence, all of which have desirable personalities. The ones with light influence, in general, we're trying to improve. So lots of balanced personalities down here, for instance, and a couple of fairly determined ones as well, where we want them to become more professional, so they train harder. We want to give them more ambition, so they'll push themselves harder as well. The only downside of the ambition is you end up with a situation like Hurst, where you lose the player. But that's my idea anyway. This isn't a hard and set rule. There's different ways you can do it. It's just how I would go about it. We're going to have a look at Williams in just a second. He's had a storming start to the season with 1 game in particular. And while we're on it, let's jump into the schedule now. The season began with a shock loss against Tranmere away from home in the EFL Cup. We then beat Crawley 3-0 before we drew away again against Exeter 2-2. They sat 2 DMCs in front of the back four and we really struggled to break them down. It was this game that made me think about switching systems and creating my own system again, something I've not done for quite some time, purely because I've not had time to do stuff like that. But with the lockdown and with things slackening off a bit with content, I've had a bit more time to think. So I created an Atlanta tactic based around Gasparini's rotating diamonds, his attacking, pressing football, and I've linked it in the description. You can go and read up on that. It is a guide on how to create real life systems, but it also shows the tactic, gives you a download for it as well. That didn't get used until a bit later on. Before that, we beat Exeter 4-1, but again, we lost to Newport 2-1. Yes, we had a weakened team out, but Newport were all over us in the second half, and I was so disappointed to throw the points away there. This is the game that really made me think we need to make changes. We went and beat Crewe 6-2. That game was harder than it maybe looks on paper. Ryan Williams was on stunning form with 5 goals, but I decided enough's enough. Next formation we come up against, where a team is sitting back, we're going to change. Lo and behold, Mansfield come and sit 2 DMCs in front of the defence. So I decided that was the game I was going to switch for. We switched to this system here. Ignore the player positions, that's not correct. But essentially, it's 3 at the back. These 2 wing backs really flood forward, creating the overload. The AMC is in a free role. He can roam from his position, so he can come deep. And the attackers get involved in the build-up play as well. The idea of creating these rotational diamonds is that the ball-playing defenders move up, they form the base of the diamond, the wing backs on the left side, the inside midfielders on the right side, and the striker just forms the tip of the diamond. And because the wing back overloads, the centre forward can pull back, the box-to-box midfielder can rotate out to the side, and then the ball-playing defender can move out of the attack for the AMC to join the diamond. It all sounds very complicated, but it looks great on paper and in the match engine. This seemed to work reasonably well for us. I didn't think it was a system we could use all season long because it's very weak down the wings. So we're going to go on to the second system I'm going to use in just a second. But it worked really well against Mansfield. Paul Bell scored a stunning free kick to get us started in that game. The next match we came up against Everton. And again, I decided we were going to stick with the 3-4-1-2 for that game as well. We ended up drawing 3-3. It was a weird game. Moise Keane was in a really weird role where he was up front, but he was also switching with the winger. So he kept getting in behind whenever we had our wing backs pushed too far forward. Lacour scored an absolutely beautiful goal to get us back into this game and take it to penalties. And we went on to win the game on penalties. So we've got the tactic to use when we're up against it with DMCs and teams that are really hard to break down. I now needed a really attacking system to use across the board. So we know we've got players that are good in a 4-4-2. We're playing a 4-4-2 at present that I'm just not quite happy enough with, and also it does irk me a little bit that I am using a downloaded tactic. So we decided to create my own with the wingers pushed forward and based around what suits my team. I also wanted a tactic that was quite flexible and we could maybe play around with the roles either through the match or to suit the players we've got. So Sal Teller, who is my striker, he's not signing the contract for the very fact that he's unhappy with the amount of game time he's getting. Therefore, I've decided to create a role for him as the false 9. He may not end up playing that very often, it all depends how he performs, but we're going to at least try it. And I feel like the false 9 dropping deep with the inverted winger cutting inside would work really nicely. We've got a winger on the outside because that suits our new signing bowler and Samba. And this goes on to what I was saying about the new signings where we're trying to strengthen a little bit more, because I have noticed the massive jump up in quality this season, and if we're going to finish top, which is our media prediction, it is what the board expect, I'm going to need better players. So we've brought in a bit of quality with Bowler and he's shown that already. Lucera as well, bit of quality on the right wing to come alongside Lacour, and then in the defence we've switched to central defenders and I've got a full back on one side, a wing back on the other. The idea of this setup here is that the wing back is on attack because the winger is on support. That way he can overlap which is within the structure. They're told to focus the player down the wings, they're told to overlap on both sides, they're a bit more direct, a bit more higher tempo, but the advanced playmaker can be used because we've got that little bit of security with the box-to-box midfielder and the fact that the winger is on support and not on attacking duty. On the right side of the pitch, the inverted winger can attack because the full-back is on support duty, so we've got a bit more stability on that side, as well as the false nine pulling defenders away to create space. It's all about balance within roles in FM, and that's what we try to create here. Now, one thing I really did like is the movement of the advanced forward in behind mixed with the false nine pulling defenders away, and the fact that that winger does get into good crossing positions, the advanced playmaker seems to pick out passes. You'll see in the Cheltenham game here, Williams gets in behind and a little bit lucky, but that advanced forward role is what gets him into those channels. The second goal in the Cheltenham game was from a Samba cross. Again, look at Lucera there, arriving late as the inverted winger. He wouldn't be doing that if he wasn't on attack duty. That's where that balance with the fullback being on support and him being on attack works very well. Bowler came off the bench onto the right. Likewise, Fonseca again working the channels. And that last goal from Bowler was just disgusting. Absolutely love to see that. The next game we came up against Port Vale, and while I was disappointed to draw using the new system, you've got to take into account the fact that they only had 3 shots. Yes, all 3 on target, but they didn't create anything. I felt like we played pretty well. We just struggled to break them down, but we did have 17 shots, 6 of which were on target, and looking at the match stats, we even created a clear-cut chance and 2 half chances. I have noticed we've been getting a lot more possession as well, so that's quite nice to see. And the next game we came up against Bolton and went and beat them away from home 3-0. Very good performance, pretty much dominated the game, and this last goal you're about to see was from a counter-attack as they were trying to flood forward, and a really nice pass there from the false nine off the bench before Samba slotted the ball home. And going into the final game we're going to look at, Morecambe at home, 2-0, pretty straightforward victory, 27 shots, 11 of which were on target. They were playing a 4-2-3-1 and they could not get hold of the ball at all. We had 56% possession, they only had 4 shots on target. So that brings us nicely to today's game, which is away from home against Southend, who are 12th. Looks like Southend are going to be playing a 4-4-2, so it could be interesting to see how we do with a flat 4-4-2, which is the system we were playing. According to my opposition report, they're quite a defence-focused team, apparently using a libero traditionally, so that'll be interesting to see if they actually do that at this sort of level. I highly doubt it, in all honesty. They'll probably be using quite a cautious mentality, so it's the sort of thing we would usually struggle against. And I'm not quite sure what happened there, but it's actually thrown me straight into the game when I pressed team selection. So I guess we're just going to have to accept whatever squad I've got out there. I think everyone's fit. We'll just have to throw them into the game and see what happens. Like I say, I'm really intrigued to see how the new system does up against what I would class as the most standard system we've come up against to date. We're using it. I have been on extended highlights, but for the purpose of this game, we'll go to key. Right, so Wardle works the ball back to Tonti, the new goalkeeper. You've not seen him playing yet. He's looking a little bit slow on the ball. We've obviously Hurst missing. We've lost that presence at the back, but so far Wardle has done admirably, and Jarman has done quite well in rotation as well at the back. And there's the long throw, and how the hell Bowler missed that, I do not know. Absolute sitter. One thing I have noticed with this system over the 4-4-2, we're actually using a deeper defensive line here, and it works quite well because with us being sat back, whenever the opposition throw the ball forward, we're in a much better position. Fantastic goal, really nice assist from Rob Gale, and a good header there from Ryan Williams. That's what I love to see with my big man up front. Let's have another look at that quickly. Chipped in by Rob Gale. And a nice header there, lovely. What I was saying is with the defensive line being deeper, when the lower league team hoof the ball forward, which they do, we're in a much better position to be heading the ball and creating a counter-attack. Another goal there. Nice high press. We are using the high press in this system as well. Very high line of engagement. We're harassing the goalkeeper, and that seems to be working quite well. You'll see we've got a lot of bodies there in the box. Bit of an overload going on there. But it does still seem defensively stable, and I am quite excited to see what this system could do away from home this season, because I'm starting to get the feeling that it'll be better away from home than it will be at home. And we're seeing exactly what I'm talking about right there. That's Josh Bowler with his 3rd goal of the season since signing on. Nicely worked from Gale. Good pass through, and again, bit of an overload. You'll notice there the advanced forward was distracting the centre-back, who then couldn't get out to the on-rushing bowler to score. The system does seem to work really well doing that, pulling players out of position and creating havoc with the opposition defence. Maddox works the ball forward. Hinkson, Donaki, Maddox again. Chipped over Adeyemi. Come on, get a foot in. Ooh, Gordon clears the ball out. Lucera picks up the loose pass, works it forward to Soltella, the false 9. This could be interesting to see what he does. Nice pass to Williams, and a great save there by Anderson. We almost had goal number 4 there. Are we going to win back possession? No, we're not. You'll notice the false 9 has got a really deep position there. We've pretty much only got Williams as the sole man up front when we're out of possession, so that's probably why it works so wow. What a pass that was from Soltella. He's really showing what he can do in that false 9 role. We saw that with that counter-attacking goal in the, can't remember which game it was now, but you'll remember it. Samba scored an absolute scream into the top corner. Really good start to the game here. Southend have had 3 shots, 2 of which have been on target. We've had 56% of the possession, and to be honest, I think we've played really well. Williams has an 8.8 rating already with those 2 goals. Saltella, despite not getting involved in any of the goals, has actually got a 7.1. I think that's very indicative of the passing game that he's been playing so far. Celia has a tight calf. We'd better deal with that now because we don't want him getting injured. I haven't shown you Celia yet actually, so once I've made that sub, we'll have a quick look at him. New signing at left back. This is because we're using a wing back on attack duty as part of the tactic. I felt like we desperately needed someone with speed, technique, someone who could do something going forward with the cross, maybe get a few shots in. He's just got a bit of an all-round game going on there. Warburton isn't as fast, McCall isn't as good technically, and I felt like we were missing that. We're going to make a couple of changes, guys. Let's get Lacour on the right wing for Lucera, and I think actually we're probably going to bring on Gary Bowden for Saltella as the false 9. Now Gary Bowden is better in a deep lying forward role on attack duty, but I'm going to stick with the false 9 role just because I love how he gets deep and then passes the ball on, and Bowden does have good passing, so he should be able to utilise that. And what you will notice is Southend are not playing any DMCs, and I think that's probably why that false 9 role's working so well today, because he doesn't have anyone there to man mark him. And that's a lovely header from Wardle. Paul Bell's been fantastic from free kicks. You saw one he scored earlier in the highlights. Lovely little cross there. He's taken over nicely when Warburton hasn't been on the pitch. Only 7 minutes remaining, and it looks like we're going to get a fantastic 4-0 away victory. Can we make it 5 though? My only slight concern with the system, as Bell takes the free kick. Oh, pick that one out, son. 3rd goal of the season. I am watching that replayed. The keeper didn't even move. What a strike that was. Wow. Love it when FM shows highlights that are actually graphically pleasing like that. Warburton from the other side swings one in. Gale. Oh, that was a disgusting challenge. Gale's going off for that. That'll be a straight red, which will have him out for 3 games probably. Yep. What a knob. That's frustrating because he's done really well in that box-to-box midfielder role. Really well in it. And there's only like 30 seconds remaining, so what the hell the point was in that, I don't know. What I was saying, I've noticed that we're having quite a lot of shots off target. Now I could add the work ball into box instruction on, but I don't feel like that would be the right thing to do because then we would lose these passes in behind. And the fact that we're getting the advance forward in the channels so quickly, which is creating quite a lot of goals. Lovely 5-0 victory away from home there. I wasn't expecting such a dominant performance. I think this system is going to be one we're going to carry on with going forward and just see how the season develops. We've got 26 plus goal difference already. 26 points, 2 points clear at the top. More of the same, please, guys. Lovely. Right, boys, I think we're going to leave it there. I don't think there's anything else we needed to cover today. I'm not quite sure when we're going to come back. I want to get a couple of games in with this new system on longer highlight mode that won't get you guys all bored. We'll most likely come back somewhere around probably December, I would imagine. If you guys haven't done so already, or you are new around here, please do subscribe, hit the bell button to get notified new episodes when they go live, and if you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up. It'd be much appreciated. If this system keeps going as well as it is, I will be sharing it. I will be doing a tactical video on it, so you guys can have a go yourselves. You've hopefully been into the description and read up on the Atlanta system. I highly recommend reading that. I think it's just interesting to see how you can create real life tactics. It's something I've been fascinated with for years now. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there instead of boring you to death. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. See you later.